Hi guys, and welcome back to episode 13 of the Terriers Talk podcast now. We're only covering the one game this week in the away trip to Reading. We'll get right into it. Lineup, Scotty I starting, and Jack, you're a massive fan of Scotty. I think you've said once or twice you are. So, what were your expectations coming into the game with Scotty I starting?
Yeah, honestly, it's a bit of a joke with the substitutions that he's always had 20, 25 minutes. He's never actually started a game. With all due respect, of course, it's a joke. But I was genuinely very happy to see him play. I think it was sort of expected after all of his cameos. I think we were all a bit surprised that there wasn't a bit more because he was one of the only sort of youth players, or not even that, but players who haven't really featured that much this year. He was one of the only ones to feature that day, obviously starting because we saw off the bench. But yeah, I was really excited before the game to see him play, and I think we'll touch on it a bit later. But he did impress, certainly us three at least. But yeah, I think that's enough on the lineup, and we'll jump into the game. And it was a quick start because we scored fairly early on. I don't know the exact minute. I'm sure one of you guys will, but I'll leave it to Jay, I think, to talk about Josh Caroma's pretty stunning free kick.
It was indeed, yeah. I think your man Scott High got drawn down just probably 25 yards out, and I think you'll all agree it is the quality that we've all been missing this season in Josh Caroma, and it's a gorgeous free kick, keeper's top left corner, and there's nothing you can do about it because he is a quality player. And my expectation for next season is he will crack on and he will be like a Karlan Grant and score 15-20 goals next season, and then we'll be lucky to keep holding the season after. And as I said before, that's what we're missing, and I'm just really excited to see him next season. But what wasn't so exciting was that 3 minutes later, the championship refereeing shone through once again, and it is massively incompetent from the referee. I'll put in the notes that words fail me how that's a penalty, because football is a contact sport, legs do tangle, and on that occasion I just can't see how it's a penalty. I think me and Jack were texting at the time, and Jack kind of voiced my concern as well that these decisions have gone against us all season, and it is really concerning, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, absolutely. We had another penalty shout in the second half on Alex Vallejo, and with any football game, I try to be as least biased as possible. But to me, that was way more of a penalty than the one which Michael Elise converted in the first half for Reading. It was really a nothing sort of challenge from Jonathan Hogg, and yeah, it's really poor. It was Jared Gillett, who I'm really not a fan of, with all due respect again. As a referee, I feel like more often than not when I watch him play, the decisions he makes are really, really questionable. So yeah, we brought it up a few times in 13 episodes of this now. The standard of championship refereeing isn't good enough, and if that game had mattered, if that had been a game to keep us up, and that's the goal, and we had to win, and that's the goal that equalises it, you'd be heartbroken. But I think obviously the goal scored, and it's 1-1 fairly instantly. And then it goes to 2-1, and I'll let sort of Ben talk about this one. It was Yaku Mete who scored, and it wasn't a great goal to concede, was it?
I mean, obviously, I've said all season how incompetent we've been at the back, and once again, it's a mix of inexperience and incompetency. There's just three men around me, and nobody makes contact. Nobody really does anything. Just kind of lets him have the time, and just he scores. And there's not really much more to it to that. It's again just poor defending from us, and it's something that I've said. It's something that Jack said. It's something that Jay said all season, and there's no kind of end to it. It's just been a constant poor showing week in, week out. Like you said, with the referees, with officiating, it's water's wet in it. You've got your referees being abysmal and the defending being not far behind it. But it was quite evenly contested really after that. I think maybe one or two of us were tempted to look at the Sheff Wednesday game versus Derby, as I think that probably had a bit more life to it, or well, we know it had a bit more life to it. But Kieran Phillips coming on in the 70th minute, I think that was a player that we all said that we wanted to see a bit more of a few episodes ago. And I think we mentioned it last episode that we wanted to see Phillips and Kamara be involved, and only Phillips was. It's showing that we're looking at youth as we saw with Scott I and with Kieran Phillips as well, and it's making me excited for next season because this season we've had a lot of kind of older players, more experienced players, but the fact that we've got younger players coming through and getting championship experience, albeit for 20, 30 minutes, will be massive for not only the confidence but actually for their actual playing as well, because 20, 30 minutes of championship experience, you play 4 or 5 games, that's 90 minutes under your belt. So I think it's brilliant to see. And then 77th minute, the super subs, Jack.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think any of us expected him to be the one to pop up, but it is Romani Edmonds-Green who equalised. I didn't know it was the 77th minute. Actually, it took me a minute to figure that one out, but I have done now, I think. I thought Romani, he didn't really have a lot to do when he did come on, but he's taken that goal phenomenally well, and it is a young keeper. And I'm pretty sure he will feel like he could have maybe kept it out, but it's a good finish. Not going to take anything away from him. I think Josh Caron was laughing his head off if you watch the replay afterwards. So it shows a bit of togetherness and a bit of happiness in the group, which is good to see after a bit of a very, very poor 2021 for Huddersfield Town. Another substitution who I do want to talk about was Sorba Thomas, who I think has been hit or miss in his cameos, but I thought it was quite impressive against Reading actually. Just off the top of my head, he put in a fantastic cross, which it was Aaron's who started on the wing, and he didn't do anything all game really. And Thomas has come on within 5 minutes. He's making the full-back dance. He's putting in a lovely ball, which another striker puts in. Another striker anticipates the movement. I think it was Danny Ward on the pitch at the time, but yeah, it was really quite a decent showing, I think, all in all at Reading. And although neither side had anything to play for, the Reading are a really good side, and they didn't really rest many players back. Cabral, I don't think, in goal, obviously, so that's not going to change a lot. They did have Zhao as well, of course, who did come on eventually. But I thought it was a really good showing, and it's promising apart from the defensive error. But I think that sort of wraps it up for that game. But I'll let Jay. I think I was supposed to say this, but I'll let Jay sort of reveal the Terriers Talk Star of the Week. I'd love to say it, but I'm going to hand it over to Jay anyway. So,
thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure because I think there's only one name this week that comes to mind, and that's Scott High. He put in an absolutely brilliant performance on Saturday. I think he rattled the post once, and he was driving forward, he was dropping back, and I think he was that link, and he was that transition, and he just made it all work. It was like clockwork, and I'm very, very excited to see him next season because I think we will be seeing more of him on the pitch rather than coming onto the pitch and just running about for 20 minutes, which fair play to him, he's done a good job of. But yeah, credit to Scott High because it mustn't be easy kind of becoming a Huddersfield Town meme, which he has. But I just hope next season he can kind of push on. And talking about next season, there's been a very interesting rumour going around. A bit of Brazilian flair might be coming to the club in, I think it's Lazaro Vinicius, 19-year-old. And it's escalated very quickly. Now, Ben, your tweet suggested that you're very excited if this deal would or could happen. Just tell us a bit more.
Well, from what I've seen of him, he looks like a very, very skillful playmaker. And he's something that we've been crying out for, I think. Somebody that can play really anywhere, really behind the front man on the wings or in that kind of number 10 position. Alex Pritchard's been played there. It's just not worked out for him. But I think if we can look at Lazaro and we can have some kind of flair behind a striker. Obviously, we've got Jordan Rhodes coming in apparently, so he's got a bit of flair to himself, a bit of Samba flair. But if we can add a little spice to it with Lazaro, I think that could be really, really good for the club. And if we're progressing a youngster, and if it comes that we are signing him permanently or on loan, I think it's a brilliant piece of business for the club.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'd just like to just sort of add to that. I'll be completely honest. I'm not totally convinced from what I've seen. Coming into the Championship's a really hard thing to do, and it doesn't. From the limited stuff I've seen, he doesn't look to me like he has the makings of a Championship footballer. He looks very talented, doesn't look very physical, doesn't look like he could cope. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love for him to come because he's a Brazilian and it's football heritage, isn't it? So having him here would be nice, but there's a lot of risk. Delving into South America, as always, a lot of risk. He's a young lad, 19. If he does come in, the weight of the world can't be put on his shoulders. I'm personally a big believer as well that if he does come in, we should go for another as well to help him settle.
Yeah.
Because last thing we want happening is him coming over. No one speaks the language. He can't speak the language. Doesn't like Greg's, and he wants to go back to Brazil straight away. So we really do need, I think, 2. If you go for 1, you have to get 2 for me. But it is very interesting and something to look forward to, I suppose, going into next season. But I think we'll leave it there for today. I'll let Jay start to talk about what we've got planned for next week.
So in the next coming weeks, we are going to have a little tribute to Chris Schindler, the outgoing Huddersfield Town hero. We're going to look over his 5 years at the club and chat a bit more about the model pro he was off the pitch as well as on, and his career at Huddersfield Town. And then we will also be releasing a classic Terriers Talk, probably 50-minute video reviewing Town's season, the departures and possible and hopefully some incomings. And that will be probably in the next week or 2. So that probably does wrap it up for episodes, I think it's 12 of the Terriers Talk Weekly
13.
Review. And 13, my mistake. And just on behalf of me, Jack and Ben, we'd like to say a massive, massive thank you for the support we've had since, I think it is January, because it's not been plain sailing since we set this podcast up. Town haven't been doing very well, and it's been hard to kind of keep on going, but we have, and we are really grateful for your ongoing support. And we would love it if you could share our videos about, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the off season and definitely next season as well. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.